We gave our son a screen to keep him quiet. It worked, and that was the beginning of our biggest mistake. My name is Anna. I am 28 years old. I am his mother. I stay at home, but my days never feel slow. There is always something to do. Mom, just a minute. There are dishes in the sink, messages on my phone, a list in my head that never ends. I move from one task to another. I tell myself I am being responsible. I tell myself I am doing my best. I want to tell you how a quiet house can hide a loud problem. I want to tell you how small habits grow, slowly and quietly. Our home looks peaceful from the outside. No shouting, no chaos. Just a child sitting with no movement, eyes on a device. I stand nearby, holding my phone, answering messages, trying to finish work. We are close in distance, but not in attention. I didn't know silence could be so loud. I didn't know I was starting something I would later regret. At the time, it felt normal. It felt helpful. I did not see the signs. Have you ever said, "Just a minute," without looking up? When Leo was born, we were excited. I held him close and watched him sleep. His hands were small. His breathing was soft and slow. Our home felt warm and full of hope. When he cried at night, I picked him up right away. He cried, "I'm here." I walked around the room and sang to him. He looked at my face. I made eye contact and smiled. In those days, I believed love meant staying close all the time. I thought we had enough time, but life changed slowly. I stayed home, yet work followed me everywhere. Messages came in all day. I tried to balance everything because I wanted to be a good mother and still finish my tasks. When Leo reached for me, I often said, "We will play later." At first, it sounded small. It felt harmless. At dinner, I placed my phone next to his plate. He moved in his chair and pushed the food away. "Eat first." "Look." I turned the display toward him. The blue light caught his eyes. He became quiet. I could finally pay attention to my work. It felt like a simple solution. I did not see the change yet. At first, it became a routine. At the table, I placed the phone next to his plate. When he cried, I turned on the TV. When we went outside, I handed him the tablet. It was quick. It worked. If he reached for me while I answered a message, I said, "Just a minute." If he followed me into the kitchen, I said, "Wait." The words came out easily. I did not stop to question them. Slowly, he became more withdrawn. Fewer questions came from him. He stopped crying over small things. The house felt easier to manage. I could spend time on work without feeling overwhelmed. One evening, my husband looked at Leo sitting still on the couch. "He's so quiet." "That's good." We nodded. We believed we had found balance. Maybe you have told yourself the same thing. Looking back, I can see we were already growing distant. At the time, it felt like comfort. Then small changes appeared. At the playground, Leo did not run to other children. He stood next to me and held my coat. When a boy offered him a toy, Leo looked away. He slowly pulled away from the group and stayed close to my leg. I told myself he was shy. I assumed he would grow out of it. At home, he followed me from room to room. If I stopped, he stopped. If I sat down, he stood beside me. He picked up his toys, but lost interest fast. He seemed to zone out, then look at my phone. One afternoon, he looked up at me. "Can I have the phone?" I hesitated. My hand felt heavy for a second. Then I gave in. "Okay." He sat down on the floor and focused on the tablet. I went back to work. There were sounds in the room, tapping, typing, short videos playing, but no one talking to each other. Leo sat with the tablet. My husband opened his laptop. I answered messages. The blue light filled the room. "Did you finish?" I asked. "Almost," he said. We spoke in low voices. No one talked about Leo. No one made eye contact. The space felt calm, but the air felt heavy. Sometimes I looked at my son and saw his face without expression. He did not laugh much. He did not call my name as often. That was when something shifted inside me. It was small, but it stayed. Something started to feel wrong, but we did not see it yet. The call came on a normal afternoon. I almost ignored it because I was busy with work. The house was quiet, and Leo was in the living room with his tablet. My phone kept ringing. I wiped my hands and answered. The teacher's voice was calm. Too calm. She asked if we could meet after class. My chest felt tight. Before she continued, I asked, "Is everything okay?" There was a short pause on the line. We met her 2 days later. Leo sat next to me. He did not look around the room. He did not ask questions. He held the edge of his chair and stayed very still. The teacher folded her hands on the desk. "He struggles to focus," she said. My husband shifted in his seat. The teacher continued, "He interacts less in class." The words felt heavy. I stared at the table, my fingers pressed together under it. No one spoke for a moment. The room felt smaller. I could hear my own breathing. It was slow and uneven. "He's still young," I said quietly. My voice did not sound strong. My husband looked at me, then at the teacher. "We didn't know," he added. The teacher nodded, but she did not argue. On the way home, we said nothing. Leo sat in the back seat with his eyes on the device. The car moved, but my thoughts did not. The teacher's words stayed in my head. Struggles to focus. Interacts less. I felt something cold in my stomach. That night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. I tried to tell myself it was just a phase. But another question came to me, and I could not push it away. What if this was not a phase? That night, the house felt different. Not loud, not busy, just still. Leo sat on the floor with the tablet in his hands. The light from the display reflected in his eyes. They did not move. His fingers moved fast across the screen. Tap, swipe, tap. I stood a few steps away and watched him. My chest felt tight. I took a slow breath and walked toward him. I bent down until my knees touched the floor. I was close enough to see the small lines under his eyes. "Leo, look at me." My voice sounded soft. He did not react. The sounds from the tablet filled the room. I swallowed and tried again. I leaned a little closer. "Leo, look at me." My hand rested on my leg. I kept my voice low. "Please." He did not look up. His fingers kept moving. His face stayed calm, almost empty. It was like he was somewhere else. The screen answered him. I did not. I reached out and touched his arm. His skin felt warm, but he did not turn. I moved my hand to the edge of the tablet. For a second, I thought he would notice me. Instead, he pulled it closer to his chest. Not angry, not afraid, just holding on. My throat felt dry, my shoulders dropped. I stayed there on the floor. My eyes burned, but no tears came. My mouth opened, then closed again. I only watched him. In that quiet moment, something inside me broke, and I knew we had gone too far. If you were in that room, what would you do? After that moment, I stayed on the floor. My legs felt weak. My hands shook, so I held them together. The glow from the device was still on his face. My husband stood near the door. He froze. His shoulders dropped. He looked at Leo, then at me, but he did not speak. The air felt heavy between us. I could hear my own breathing. Slow, unsteady. For a few seconds, there was no sound in the room. It was not just pain anymore. It was something clearer. For a moment, I wanted to blame stress, but I stopped. I lowered my head and exhaled. The truth was simple. We gave in. We let the habit grow. We chose the easy way instead of giving our full attention. My husband swallowed and turned away. His hand shook once, then stopped. He pressed his lips together. His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. I looked at Leo again. He was still staring at the device in his hands, and the thought came without excuse. We did this. This is our fault. We missed the signs. We let the distance grow. We slowly drifted apart without noticing. I whispered his name, very softly. He did not react. That was when I faced the truth. Not as a shock, but as responsibility. The next morning, we did not make big promises. We did not talk about changing our whole life. We started with small steps. I walked into the living room and turned off the TV. The room felt different right away, quieter, still. My husband closed his laptop and put it away. I took the phone from the table and placed it inside a drawer. I did not slam it. I just shut it down and stepped back. Leo sat on the floor with his toys. He did not look at us. I sat down a short distance from him, close enough to be there, not close enough to push him. My hands rested on my knees. I kept my voice steady. "I am sorry," I said. He did not answer. He kept moving a small car on the floor. "I am here now," I added. The words felt simple, but they were true. I did not explain. I did not defend myself. I just stayed. My husband stood behind me for a moment. Then he spoke once. I should have seen it. He did not say anything else. I looked at Leo again. My voice was quiet. "Can we try again?" There was no big reaction. No magic change. We stayed in the room. We paid attention. We chose to carry on, but in a different way. Months later, our days looked different. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. Still, something had changed. We chose to slow down instead of filling every space with noise. Mornings felt longer. The air felt softer in the evenings. There were fewer screens in our hands and more empty time around us. At first, the calm space felt unfamiliar. I almost reached for my phone many times. I had to step back and breathe. I realized how often I used it to avoid discomfort. We sat on the floor more. Sometimes we played. Sometimes we did nothing. Leo still had quiet days. He did not change overnight. I understood this would take time. We needed to pay attention in small ways. We tried to make eye contact. We spent time without rushing. Some days felt like progress. Other days felt the same. Still, we did not give in. One afternoon, I called his name softly. "Leo." He paused. His hand stopped moving. Slowly, he looked up. His eyes met mine for a brief second. I held my breath. I did not move. I did not speak again. Then he gave a small smile. It was not big. It was not loud. But it was real. Only then did I see it clearly. He doesn't remember us playing together. When I say that, my chest feels tight. There were days when we sat in the same room, but we slowly drifted apart. I thought we had time. I believed I could fix it later. I missed the signs. Children don't need screens to grow. They need faces, voices, and time. They need someone to look at them and truly pay attention. Love does not grow inside a device. It grows between people, in small moments, in eye contact, in being present. Even if you don't have children, screens are teaching all of us how to look away. You check your phone when the room feels too quiet. You scroll because it is easy. You may not notice it, but you have started to lose track of time. This habit can slowly grow. It can become your comfort zone. You don't need to remove every device from your life, but you can step back. You can put the phone down during one meal. You can make eye contact when someone speaks. You can pay attention for a few real minutes. These small choices seem simple, but they can change the way you connect. Over time, you build stronger moments. Presence is not loud. It is steady and real. Do you remember your life before screens felt normal? If this story stayed with you, it may stay with someone else too. You can comment one word or one number below. If you see the hype button, you can tap it in the first days to help this story reach more people. If you believe in slowing down and being present, you are already part of Peak. You can like the video and subscribe if you want more stories like this. See you in the next one.